From Citizen TV, this is the Monday Report with Trevor Ombija.
Yes, that's right. Thank you so much for staying with Citizen TV and just in time for the Monday Report. As you just heard, we hope you're having a fantastic evening despite all the rain. Later on, we'll have a conversation on the week in politics. We'll review every activity that has been happening from the IEBC nomination for vetting in Parliament, the political discourse that has been in the country. We'd like to hear your views, by the way. Trevor Ombija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. Professor Alfred Omenya will be here. He's an award-winning architect and urban developer. Joshua Nyamori will also be here as an advocate of the High Court. And Dr. Peter Mbai is a governance and leadership expert. He's a former head of the Ministerial Delivery Unit and the Ministry of Trade, but he left. Now he's a leadership and governance expert. We'll talk about all the matters, politics, and everything in between there. But first, our top stories tonight.
Chaos erupt. Police fire tear gas to disperse Western leaders, workers and farmers protesting outside Nzoia Sugar over leasing dispute.
All the people who disappeared or who were abducted in what you said, all of them have been brought back to their families and to their homes.
Never again. President Ruto says he put abductions and extrajudicial killings to an end.
They have encroached in some of our lands and our territory. In South Sudan, the insecurity that is there, the proliferation of small arms, every other day we have to face that.
Cross-border threats. Spy Master Nurdin Haji warns MPs of armed gangs spilling into Kenya from Uganda, South Sudan, Ethiopia and Somalia. And he says security budget is under pressure. Access denied. Drama at KICC as MPs find themselves locked out over rent arrears.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Yula Nzale. So drama ensued in Bungma County as top political leaders from Western Kenya mobilized hundreds of farmers in a protest against the leasing of Nzoia Sugar Company to businessman Jaswant Rai. The demonstration, which paralyzed traffic along the Webuye-Malava highway, turned chaotic after police blocked the road and fired tear gas to disperse the crowd that was led by DAPK party leader Eugene Wamalwa. And as Emily Chebet now reports, some of the farmers from the region have come out to defend the leasing of the company, saying that the investor will help revive the factory and ensure that farmers and workers are paid on time.
A show of defiance unfolded along the Webuye-Malava highway as DAPK party leader Eugene Wamalwa led local leaders and a section of farmers in a protest against the leasing of Nzoia Sugar Company. Attempts by the leaders and their supporters to access the factory were quickly blocked by heavily armed anti-riot police. The situation escalated into chaos as officers fired in the air and lobbed tear gas canisters to disperse the protesters.
Hii court order ilizuia waziri na serikali ya Ruto kuuza mashini yenu ya Nzoia. Sasa leo tuko hapa kuambia Rai, kama wewe umekaidi amri ya mahakama, if you bwana Rai, you have defied the court order, we declare you persona non grata, usikanyage hapa kwetu.
Haimaanishi kwamba kama kampuni ya serikali inafanya vibaya inauzwa. Kenya Airways haifanyi vizuri. KVDA haifanyi vizuri. Mauniversity za Kenya hazifanyi vizuri. Hata serikali ya Kenya kama kuna kitu takana kukua list ni serikali ya Kenya. Si ndio? Imekuwa list.
The section of leaders who have vowed to continue mobilizing residents and fight what they term as illegal takeover of one of their region's most vital economic asset staged the demos 2 days after West Kenya Sugar Company, under the stewardship of Chairman Jaswant Rai, officially took over the operations at Nzoia Sugar Factory. The tycoon is said to have injected 5.6 billion Kenya shillings to facilitate rehabilitation and modernization of the factory to improve its efficiency.
Sisi tunasema hii court order ni lazima itimizwe. Hii court imesema kwamba wasichukue factory yetu mpaka kesi isikizwe.
Anaweza kutumia polisi saa hizi aingizwe pale ndani na nguvu, lakini ajua wakati tunachukua tamu ya uongozi tutamfukuza hata kaa hapa. Tumeelewana watu wetu? Hatuwezi kulazimishiwa investor ambaye anakuja kuharibu mali yetu.
Raia akiingia katika hiki kiwanda, kitu ya kwanza anafanya anaenda kufunga factory. Atakuwa anapeleka miwa West Kenya, hatakuwa anasiagia hapa. Na atakuwa ameumiza watu wa Bungma.
The leaders accused police of infringing on their rights to protest peacefully.
Katiba ya sasa inapatia mwananchi uwezo wa kufanya kila anataka, bora atii sharia. Na tunataka kufanya maandamano ya amani. Hatutaki polisi watuingilie. Kama polisi wakuja hapa watulinde.
Hours after the day-long protests, a group of farmers from the region have come out to defend the government's move to lease the factory. While dismissing the day's protests, this section of farmers accused the politicians of being selfish.
It is very painful. Unakaa kuanzia mwaka 2021 na mpaka saa hizi 2021 hujalipwa pesa yako. Huyu mwekezaji kitu ndawahakikishia ya kwamba utalipwa exactly baada ya wiki moja, every Friday.
Zakaria aende huko. Zakaria ndiye alikuwa anashika matractor Nzoia kazi. Ndio. Alafu Eugene alikuwa minister, alisaidia nini Nzoia? Sasa mimi kama mama nimekubaliana ya kwamba Rai achukue mashini na alipe wakulima kwa wakati ambao unatakikana, tupeleke watoto wetu shuleni.
The takeover was announced by Nzoia Sugar Board Chair Alfred Hangati. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV.
And away from that, President William Ruto has pledged that abductions and kidnappings will not happen under his watch. Speaking during a visit by Finnish President Alexander Stubb, Ruto stated that all Kenyans who were abducted have since been reunited with their families, although he did not reveal who was behind the disappearances. As Seth Olale now reports, the president also assured the Finnish government that those responsible for the botched Finland University program will be held accountable.
A damning report by rights group Missing Voices reveals 55 enforced disappearances in 2024, many at the height of the Gen Z-led protests. Facing tough questions over his administration's alleged role in the abductions and extrajudicial killings, President William Ruto denied state involvement, saying all those taken have since been reunited with their families.
All of them have been brought back to their families and to their homes, and I have given clarity and firm instructions that nothing of that kind of nature will happen again.
Distancing State House from the wave of abductions condemned by rights groups and global partners, President Ruto maintained that his office does not oversee or conduct police operations.
My office has now nothing to do with the operations, the financing of police activities, to give them independence.
However, Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja, in a 2024 interview with Citizen TV, denied any police involvement in the abductions and kidnappings.
So those who abduct, they commit crimes. And those crimes are ordinarily presented before a court of law.
Although President Ruto did not reveal who was behind the abductions, he said his government had taken decisive steps to address the situation and ensure it does not happen again.
I have given clarity and firm instructions that nothing of that kind of nature will happen again.
Finland's President Alexander Stubb terming the university botched scholarship as unfortunate, reiterating his country's commitment to admit more Kenyan students in the country's higher education institutions.
But any kind of delays and hopefully students not getting stranded in my mind is unacceptable.
Kenya and Finland signed memoranda of understanding on political and diplomatic consultation and cooperation on peace mediation and conflict resolution. The two nations also agreed to have an educational strategic cooperation, youth training, healthcare and trade among key items to be explored. The cooperation between Finland and Kenya will be extended through the various senior state officials representing the two countries in order to enhance prosperity. Seth Olale, Citizen TV, State House, Nairobi.
Now, the High Court has barred 4 police officers charged with the murder of 6-month-old baby Samantha Pendo from accessing any of the suspected crime scenes. The court further ordered that the accused persons must not contact any witnesses. Baby Samantha Pendo died from head injuries inflicted on her by armed police officers who raided her parents' house in Nyalenda in Kisumu County during a door-to-door operation after demonstrations against the outcome of the 2017 presidential elections.
4 police officers, John Chengo Masha, Lina Kogei, Cyprian Robbie Wankio, and James Rono have been charged with the murder of baby Samantha Pendo 7 years ago. The High Court has ordered the officers not to set foot in Nyalenda, Nyamasaria, and Nyawita areas in Kisumu County as part of enhanced conditions issued pending bail. These are the crime scenes where gross human rights violations were reported, including the raiding of homes of innocent and unarmed civilians in the aftermath of the 2017 presidential election in Kenya. 6-month-old baby Pendo was a casualty of these attacks. She died from extensive head injuries.
They will not interfere with the witnesses. They will not tamper with the evidence. They will not leave the jurisdiction of the court and or commit any offense and shall attend court on 12th May 2025.
The court further ordered that the accused persons must not contact any witnesses or the victims of the police brutality.
To engage defense counsel and victim counsel, IPOA and ODPP in order to engage with the accused persons and the victims for a comprehensive pre-bail report in 2 weeks.
The new directives were issued to allow time for the preparation of a comprehensive bail report, which is to be submitted within a fortnight. Within the 2-week period, the Witness Protection Agency may also provide an assessment report to the court and to the concerned parties. The case is scheduled for mention on the 28th of this month. Lillian Muli, Citizen TV.
Now, emotions ran high at the Nakuru High Court as the family of the missing fisherman Brian Oyambo broke down in tears after the 6 Kenya Wildlife Service officers charged with abducting the fisherman Brian Oyambo were granted bail. The 6 officers were granted 100,000 shillings cash bail each, as Marian Nyambura reports.
Elizabeth Auma, mother of the missing fisherman Brian Oyambo, was overwhelmed with grief. Auma broke down outside the Nakuru Law Courts shortly after Principal Magistrate Kipkurui Kibelion delivered a ruling releasing the 6 KWS officers who were charged with the abduction of fisherman Brian Oyambo on January 18th this year at Lake Nakuru National Park.
That each accused person herein is admitted to bond of 300,000 shillings with one surety of similar amount or an alternative cash bail of 100,000 shillings each.
The 6 who had been detained at Nakuru GK prisons for 7 days are Francis Gashoki, Alexander Lorogoi, Isaac Oyambo, Michael Wabukala, Evans Kimayo and Abdul Rahman Ali Sudi. The suspects have, however, been released under strict conditions.
That the accused persons are prohibited from making contact with the prosecution witnesses listed in this case, either in person or through proxies. That during the pendency of this case, the accused persons are prohibited whatsoever from visiting the identified scene of crime.
The family says this court decision has left them at a crossroads.
Tunaipinga kwa sababu Mama Brian Oyambo mwenyewe aliweza kuleta kotini affidavit na akasema alifikiwa na mtu ambaye ametajwa kule ambaye anaitwa Hosea, ambaye alikuwa anataka kumlipa pesa, alitaka kumpa mlungula ndio hii kesi iweze kuzama.
And it is a ruling that makes us wonder whether judicial officers are truly in touch with reality. Brian has been missing for almost 4 months now. It's almost 4 months since Mama Brian last saw her son.
The case will be heard on the 19th of this month. Miriam Nyambura, Citizen TV.
Now, a section of members of parliament have been locked out of their offices at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, that's KICC, over rent arrears owed by parliament. KICC disconnected amenities into the MPs' offices, including power, and even locked all their toilets. Attempts by parliament to have MPs use their offices awaiting clearance of their arrears did not bear fruit as MPs were turned away from the KICC main gate. Stephen Leto has the details.
Darkness ushered us into the MP's offices at the KICC after KICC management disconnected power in the lawmakers' offices. Other than power disconnection, KICC also locked all the toilets used by the parliamentary staff, paralyzing business for the lawmakers. All MPs who turned up on Monday at their offices at the KICC were blocked from accessing the premises at the KICC main gate. Affected MPs including Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro, Embakasi East MP Babu Owino, Budget Chair Aina Lego Usonga Member of Parliament Samuel Atandi, Nyandarua Senator John Methu, among others, as MPs and the parliamentary staff say to occupy more than half of the office spaces at the KICC. Parking slots allocated to parliamentary staff at the KICC Comesa grounds also remained empty as staff were also turned away. The Parliamentary Service Commission says it has been paying arrears backdated to 2023 and now only owes KICC arrears totaling to 50 million shillings. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
The National Intelligence Service, that's NIS Director General Nurdin Haji, has raised alarm over inadequate funding for Kenya's security agencies, warning that the country's defense efforts could be compromised if critical financial gaps persist. Speaking before Parliament's Defense Committee, Haji stressed the urgent need for full funding, stating that the 55 billion shillings allocation for the 2024-2025 financial year is insufficient to tackle rising security threats. He also revealed that armed gangs from neighboring countries are increasingly spilling into Kenya, as Ode Francis reports.
I want to, at this point, request...
Kenya's intelligence chief Nurdin Haji is raising concerns over growing national security vulnerability. Speaking to MPs, Haji warned that the country's constrained budget is leaving it unable to defend against rising threats from neighboring nations, with armed guns spilling into Kenya, Uganda, South Sudan, Ethiopia, and Somalia.
There are threats. If you look at Uganda, you have the Karamajogs, you have the different tribes coming into Kenya to undertake cattle rustling. They have encroached in some of our lands and our territory. In South Sudan, the insecurity that is there, the proliferation of small arms, every other day we have to face that. In Ethiopia, as you know, there's the Oromo Liberation Army. They are occupying part of our territory, and we are forced to deal with them. But if you look at the kind of equipment that we have as the security sector, it is really wanting.
While Kenya's intelligence services have thwarted several security breaches, Nurdin Haji warns that a 14 billion funding gap would undermine operations. He stressed that frontline security agencies must receive full financial support to effectively combat evolving threats, including cyber warfare, terrorism, and global disinformation campaigns.
The last the last 2 years, we have really struggled to ensure, for example, that there are no bombs happening here in Nairobi, that there are no Al-Shabaabs penetrating into Nairobi. We have lost so many lives in the front through the SOG and also the special forces from the military. So there is no amount of money that is enough at the moment to ensure that as Kenya, we are able to safeguard ourselves from the rear, from the front, from the top. We are facing threats from each and every neighbor that we have. except maybe from Tanzania.
Over the past 5 years, Haji says Kenya's National Intelligence Service NIS has seen fluctuating budget allocations, reflecting shifting priorities within Parliament's Defence and Intelligence Committee. In 2020-2021, the agency operated on a 45 billion budget, which was slightly increased to 47 billion in 2021-2022 financial year, signaling a modest boost in security funding. However, in 2022-2023, Parliament slashed 10 billion, citing undisclosed concerns, dropping the allocation back to 45 billion in 2023-2024. The most notable increase came in 2024-2025 financial year, when the budget surged to 55 billion shillings, marking a significant victory for the intelligence sector amid rising global security threats.
In terms of graph and against all the state departments that we oversight, the National Intelligence Service has continued to enjoy a very favorable. So against your requirement and the allocation that you get, you actually almost get an entire request from BPS.
And I don't know how else we are going to emphasize this. We really need, and this sector really needs to be looked at very carefully. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to enjoy the freedoms and rights that we have.
Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Let's stay with the security matters now. The suspect believed to have pulled the trigger in the fatal shooting of Kasipul MP Charles Ong'ondo has been arraigned in court. Isaac Kuria will remain in custody for 30 days as detectives intensify investigations into the assassination. Preliminary findings have directly linked Kuria to the firearm used in the assassination, as well as to communication with other suspects already in custody. Authorities say that the probe is gaining momentum and they are closing in on another suspect believed to have directly helped Kuria during the murder. And as Ben Kirui now reports, police say Kuria is the man who was contacted to kill the Member of Parliament.
Around 2 p.m. Monday, a few hours after his arrest in Sebania, Migori County, Isaac Kuria alias Kush, the man believed to have played a central role in the assassination of Kasipul MP Charles Ong'ondo, was arraigned at the JKIA law courts. Kuria, who investigators say is directly linked to the murder weapon and was at the scene of the killing, is now at the heart of the investigation. Police say he is the man who was contracted to kill the Member of Parliament. Detectives say he was in constant communication with at least 10 other suspects already in custody, coordinating both the planning and execution of the murder.
Alishoot mheshimiwa, alitumia hiyo bunduki ambayo ilitumika kuua marehemu mbunge wa Kasipul, mheshimiwa.
During the miscellaneous application, police successfully sought permission to detain Kuria for an additional 30 days. As the investigation continues, Chief Magistrate Irene Gishobi granted the request to have Kuria held at the Kasarani police station.
He's alleged to have been the one who shot and killed the Kasipul Member of Parliament, the late Charles Ong'ondo. He's also stated to have been on the run at the time of his arrest, heading to Tanzania. And with such kind of allegations and the public interest that this matter has elicited, it is important to ensure that the respondent is kept in custody.
His next court appearance is scheduled for June 12th. Investigators are in hot pursuit of yet another suspect believed to have been with Kuria during the assassination of Charles Were. Police say they are closing in on him. Investigators say all the suspects in their custody have been established to have been in constant communication before, during, and after the commission of the crime. The investigating team has also identified several scenes of crime where it is believed that this murder was planned before the execution. These scenes will be visited for documentation and retrieval of more evidence that will be used in interrogation.
He represents the victims.
At the same time, the High Court has upheld an earlier order from the JKIA court to keep a businessman and Kasipul politician Philip Aroko in police custody for 7 more days. Aroko, who was arraigned last Friday, is also under investigation over the same killing. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Let's talk about politics now. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has today formally resigned from the United Democratic Alliance Party, that's the UDA. The resignation comes days ahead of plans by Gachagua to launch his new political party. Gachagua, who since impeachment mounted sustained criticism of the government, accused the UDA-led administration of failing to implement the 2022 manifesto. Ayub Abdikadir has that report.
First and foremost is to congratulate you on your very able delivery of our agenda. Umecheza kama wewe.
In the best of his yellow days, Rigathi Gachagua was the proverbial energy of the party. A darling of the fans of his bone-breaking scorched earth approach to political competition. But today, the long goodbye for UDA's former poster boy has culminated in a 5-page letter, listing how the ruling party went off track and failed on its pledges.
Is being presented to the people.
In reliving the manifesto and the launch he partook, Gachagua accused the government of weakening state institutions and advancing personal interests, accusing the president of spearheading a course in contrast with the campaign pledge they made. Outlining the 5 key sectors housed under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, Gachagua cited gross underperformance and how they were turned into epicenters of crime and corruption, saying that the administration's pet projects were either turned into a business venture, conceived to siphon public money, and in the case of the agriculture sector, farmers treated to fake fertilizer and the grabbing of their prime land. On foreign policy, the former Madeira lawmaker decried how Kenya has been turned into a theater for warring factions in neighboring countries. The Sudanese case an example, and how Nairobi, once a peace haven, courted diplomatic controversies. In what is seen as paving the way for the launch of his political party this week, the former deputy president sought divorce from the party he once loved for what he termed as deviation from the principles of good governance and stained sovereignty and contempt for the constitution. Gachagua now seeks a new path along with other opposition leaders as they sustain their opposition to President William Ruto. Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV.
Homa Bay Deputy Governor Joseph Oyugi Magoanga says his life is in danger. Magoanga spoke in Homa Bay after an incident in which his security exchanged fire with gunmen outside his home in Oyugis. He says that he switched vehicles after he was told that unknown people had been seen outside his home. The unknown people attacked his official vehicle only to be met by his security. He says that he has reported the matter to the police, and police say it is too early to make comments on the case.
This attack is not only alarming but deeply troubling. While we patiently await the findings of the investigation, I call for calm among the public and urge everyone to refrain from speculation that could heighten tension or derail the pursuit of the truth.
In response to this report, the County Security Committee has this morning dispatched a team of investigators to the scene to conduct thorough and comprehensive investigations into the circumstances surrounding the incident.
All right, on that note, let's take a quick break. In Monday Report, we're back with much more in just a short while, so don't go too far. Welcome back. So the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly is set for a marathon approval hearing of nominees to the electoral body IEBC. Parliament says that the exercise has been scheduled for 26th of May and called on all the Kenyans to submit written memoranda on any reservations they may have against any of the nominees. And as Stephen Leto now reports, the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims has called on the political class to stop meddling in the process of establishing a new IEBC.
Few days after President William Ruto nominated 7 individuals to take up the role of elections management in the country, Parliament says it is ready to hold the approval hearings for all the nominees. President William Ruto, upon receiving names from the vetting panel, nominated Erastus Ethekon as the new IEBC chair, alongside 6 commissioners subject to parliamentary approval. National Assembly Clerk Samuel Njoroge, in a circular through local dailies, says the approval hearings will be a day day-long exercise to be conducted on 26th of May and therefore invited members of the public to submit representations they may have by way of written statements on oath with supporting evidence contesting the suitability of the candidates for appointments to the offices they have been nominated to. The nominees are required to provide to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee letters from EACC, KRA, Higher Education Loans Board, DCI, Register of Political Parties, as well as Credit Reference Bureau. The Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, SUPKEM, who addressed the media Monday on the IEBC recruitment process, accused the section of the political class of meddling in the process and called on politicians to keep off the exercise.
One of the issues raised by a senior politician is that there should have been further consultations within the dominant political class before the president announced the nominees from the list presented to him by the selection panel. We find this suggestion absurd.
Tumewatagua panel kwa maridhiano. Watu wamekubali juu ya panel. Sasa imekuwa watu wataka kuzunguka. Hii ni kutia tashwishi.
SUPKEM says the team that will be picked must gather public confidence and ensure it delivers credible elections in the future. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
Pope Leo XIV has demanded the release of imprisoned journalists in the first news conference of his pontificate. Addressing the world's media in Vatican City, he said that he reiterates the Church's solidarity with them for seeking the truth. He also calls for the precious gift of free speech to be safeguarded.
And thank you for this wonderful reception.
We must say no to the war of words and images. We must reject the paradigm of war. Let me therefore reiterate today the Church's solidarity with journalists who are imprisoned for seeking and reporting the truth while also asking for their release.
Back home, police in Nyeri have launched a manhunt for the driver of a 33-seater minibus that killed one, left two critically injured and 23 others with soft tissue injuries after overturning as it negotiated a corner in the Juakali area of Tetu that's in Nyeri County. The bus, christened Uppercut, had earlier on in the day on Sunday been spotted being driven recklessly on Thika Road as it ferried the youthful adventurers to Nyeri. Kamau Mwangi has the details.
This is what remains of this 33-seater minibus spotted on Thika Road on Sunday afternoon after overturning as its driver negotiated a sharp bend on the Ihururu-Miagayoini Road in Tetu Nyeri County as it rushed to ferry back youthful adventurers who had travelled to Nyeri to view its famous Zeina Falls. The accident that occurred at around 8 p.m. hours after reckless maneuvers has left one dead, two critically injured, 23 treated and released with soft tissue injuries, while 7 escaped unhurt, with police now in hot pursuit of the driver, who is said to have fled the scene after the incident.
Na kulikuwa na mvua mingi sana. Walikuwa wamenyechewa sana. Saa ile walikuwa akitoka huko na hiyo basi ilikuwa na speed sana. Akichukua kona ndio basi ilianguka.
We are suspecting issues of drunk driving and speeding, because the area that the accident occurred is a very hilly area. So if he was drunk, there is no way he could be able to manage that vehicle. That's why it veered off the road and overhauled.
Elizabeth Vivi, the Central Region Traffic Enforcement Officer, says the bus had managed to evade police traps on its way to Nyeri, having been on their radar after its videos surfaced online, only for it to surface again following the accident.
Drunk driving has been a key issue that we are really dealing with, especially over the weekends when we know that majority of our Kenyans wanapenda kubugia mvinyo, na that really causes a very big hazard on our roads.
Hiyo gari sinakujaga saa yote, inakuja kama gari tano hivyo. Hata tunasemaga ni mkutano iko hapa. Na inaendeshwa na speed.
Kamau Mwangi, Citizen TV.
Now, hundreds of Kenyans gathered at the county halls to discuss solutions for combating femicide and gender-based violence, which have been on the rise in recent months. On Monday, a presidential task force launched a nationwide public engagement starting with the North, Coast and Western regions. Citizen TV's Crispin Otieno has the details.
Barely 4 months after President Ruto formed a 42-member task force to fight femicide, on Monday, the team led by ex-Deputy Chief Justice Nancy Baraza kicked off county town halls to tackle gender-based violence head-on. In Samburu, female genital mutilation and harmful traditions were flagged as major drivers of GBV, with locals pushing for stricter law enforcement.
The opportunity to interact with citizens from Samburu County. Their views include that GBV is a real issue in this county. There's a significant amount of gender-based violence, particularly in the form of FGM and early marriages.
We are happy that we've had several interactions with the survivors. We've interacted with the youth. We've interacted with the elders.
In Taita Taveta, task force member Washali Abdi led public engagement in Mwatate. Locals blamed kangaroo courts and stigma for the underreporting of GBV, estimated at nearly 90%.
Hapa kwetu Taita Taveta sisi opportunities for employment ile itakuwa cash very limited. Kwa hivyo hata tunapozungumza gender violence iko nyingi. Kiini chake kingine kikubwa ni hizo nafasi za kujipatia riziki.
In the north, public forums in Garissa and Marsabit flagged femicide and retrogressive cultural beliefs as urgent issues requiring action.
Our court cases take a long time. We have cases that were taken in 2022, up to now they have not been concluded. We have cases we took last year, they have not been concluded. The case management of Maslaha. Why are people running to Maslaha? Maslaha, it doesn't take even a week.
In Wajir, Regional Commissioner John Otieno held a security meeting with government agencies to strategize against sexual and gender-based violence.
We have emphasized the need for cooperation and teamwork with all stakeholders.
The task force will gather public views and submit a detailed report to President Ruto within the set deadline. Crispin Otieno, Citizen TV.
All right, let's take another quick break. We're back with much more in just a bit, including the business news. See you shortly. Let's talk about some business news now. And the National Treasury is under pressure to stabilize its tax policy framework amid warning that frequent policy changes are deterring investment in the country. Tax experts at Deloitte argue that regular unplanned amendments rather than adherence to the structured national tax policy framework is creating uncertainty for businesses. The analysts are calling for stricter compliance with established guidelines to prevent disruptive mid-year adjustments, which they say undermine long-term economic planning. Jimmy Mbogo has the details.
Kenya's recurring finance bill revision are fueling frustration among businesses, with each iteration bringing fresh tax shifts that experts say disrupts financial planning. Market analysts now cautioning that this unpredictability risks driving investment to more stable economies, undercutting Kenya's growth ambition. Walter Mutwiri, a partner for tax and legal at Deloitte East Africa, stresses that Treasury must prioritize policy consistency, noting that a predictable tax regime isn't just desirable but fundamental for sustaining investor confidence.
Really to look at Kenya as possibly like a motor vehicle. A motor vehicle need to be driven gently. No sharp bends, no sharp brakes, no quick acceleration. We should not be introducing tax laws today and a few months down the line you are changing them, or you are saying this is our new or this is our preferred approach, and possibly 1 or 2 down the line when maybe investors are considering investing and immediately they invest, the tax laws change.
In the 2025 Finance Bill, for instance, the National Treasury is proposing changes to value-added tax application through a reclassification of goods and services into 3 categories, where some will be standard-rated, meaning they will be charged VAT at 16%. Others, Treasury is recommending a reclassification to 0-rated, meaning the supply will attract a VAT but at a rate of 0%, while others are expected to be tax-exempt, meaning they do not attract VAT at all.
One of them is inputs that are used in manufacture of animal feeds. Yeah, those are some of that's one of the items that will be moved from zero rate status, which I said is a best case scenario, to exempt. So effectively, you will find that if the manufacturers of animal feeds will not be able to absorb that cost, chances that they will pass it on to consumers, which in this case are our farmers.
And as the debate and feedback on the 2025 Finance Bill is processed, experts are also calling on the National Assembly's Committee on Finance to relook other clauses such as the reduction of the period to carry forward tax losses, which has been reduced to 5 years from the current status where tax losses can be claimed indefinitely, which they say may reduce the investment appetite in the country. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, Kenyan small businesses, especially those led by women and youth, are set for a major financial boost. The European Investment Bank and Family Bank have partnered to mobilize 14.7 billion shillings in funding for SMEs in a move expected to spark job creation and economic growth. The announcement was made during the EU-Kenya Business Forum held right here in Nairobi. Our reporter Wamboi Wangoi has the details.
Get ready, ladies and gentlemen.
At the heart of this new deal is a 100 million euro financing agreement between the European Investment Bank and Family Bank. Half of this amount will come as a credit line from the European lender, with Family Bank expected to match the sum. The funding is designed to support Kenyan SMEs and mid-caps, particularly in trade and agriculture.
We understand and appreciate the great contribution that SMEs actually contribute to this economy. You look at the nature of employment. Majority of the employees are actually employed by SMEs. So it couldn't have come at a better time. And as I've said, we've just done our 2025-2029 strategy, which is focusing on strengthening and deepening SMEs in this country. So for us, it's quite strategic.
The European Investment Bank values the cordial and very productive relationship it has with Kenya. And we have so far invested over 1.7 billion euros to support various sectors of the economy that supports trade.
Beyond financing, EIB will also support Family Bank with technical expertise. The multi-billion shilling deal forms part of the EU's Global Gateway strategy and ties into a wider initiative labelled Investing in Young Businesses in Africa, which is currently chaired by the European Investment Bank.
The EU continues to be Kenya's first trade partner in exports, and today's forum is a key opportunity to explore how we can fully harness its potential.
And President William Ruto is now calling on the Kenya-EU Economic Partnership Agreement Council to dismantle trade barriers to fully unlock the potential of this trade corridor.
We remain committed to implementing a pro-trade policy regime that not only foster inclusive wealth creation, but also generate much-needed opportunities. Our goal is to build a comprehensive, resilient economy that benefits every Kenyan, while strengthening mutually beneficial partnership with allies like the EU.
The forum also marked the launch of the European Union Chamber, Eurocham, to strengthen private sector cooperation between the two regions. The EU Economic Partnership Agreement, which grants Kenya quota-free, duty-free access to the European market, has seen trade volumes jump by 30% since its signing. And this growth is projected to continue at 10% year-on-year, here on out. Wamboi Wangoi, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, the food business in Kenya is booming with the expansion of urban centers. With the growing number of eateries due to this demand, there is a need for kitchenware among food entrepreneurs. American Limited, the brainchild of Fred Akuno, is one local venture fabricating commercial kitchens targeting the hospitality industry in Kenya. Edward Chwea tells us more in our Made in Kenya segment.
At his workshop in Nairobi's industrial area, Fred Akuno and his team are meeting a client's deadline. For over 10 years, Akuno's venture, American Limited, has been making stainless steel commercial kitchens targeting the food industry in Kenya.
We specialize in stainless steel fabrication of
commercial kitchen equipment. We normally do like from layout design to custom fabrication of the kitchen equipment to installation, service and maintenance. This idea was born by the need to enhance hygienic preparation of food.
American Limited makes different products targeting a wide range of customers from the hospitality industry to health facilities and manufacturers of food products.
We have different products based on different needs by the client. We appeal to hospitality industry mainly, pharmaceuticals, and also food processing businesses. We do hotels, restaurants, institutional kitchens like schools, colleges, universities. We also do hospital spaces, the scrub sinks, the sluice sinks, different products that requires hygienic surfaces and hygienic preparation of food.
The kitchen equipment is fabricated at this workshop here. The process starts with obtaining the raw materials, and with the help of trained welders, American Limited custom makes the equipment depending on what the client wants.
We get the plain sheets, then begin the conversion process. We determine the sizes of the products based on the layout that we do internally. Then we do computer-aided design that spells out the equipment arrangement or layout. We do the welding and fitting, then we do the polishing work, and now wrapping and packaging.
I came in 2020 as a trainee. In high school, I had that motivation in doing some technicals. So I came across welding. That's when I started doing welding. My message to all women and ladies, it's not hard. The motivation and not giving up in what you want to do.
We do on-job training. This is a specialized skill. So we hire people based on need.
How do you make sure that American products are unique and they stand out in the market?
We don't take shortcuts on the thickness and the grade of materials, stainless steel materials that we use. We do service and maintenance of our equipment. So we don't just sell the equipment, but follow through with the service and maintenance. We offer warranty for our items, so that gives the client the comfort.
Having served some of the notable names in the hospitality industry in Kenya, Akuno says the future is to take American Limited beyond the Kenyan borders and serve the continent.
It's in our plan to expand our operations and also introduce technology so then we can be able to innovate some more. We foresee ourselves having physical showrooms in different countries, especially in the East African region. We also intend to really double our output or production, and also be able to increase the number of the staff that we keep or create more employment opportunities.
Edward Chweya, Made in Kenya, Citizen TV.